up, y'all? Welcome to episode number 29. I'm Ryan Mitchell, joined by Rhett Hoy. We are a North Carolina podcast that is presented to you by Carolina's Matt News. Check Frank Smithwick out on all his social media accounts.
We are also brought to you by chainwrestling.co. All right. Go check them out on chainwrestling.co. Chain Wrestling's our newest partner. They have been amazing to us. Put up a team store for us.
Yes.
Go check it out, chainwrestling.co. Go to Partners, click on Carolina Takedown Talk, and grab you the newest Carolina Takedown Talk gear. All right. Also use Carolina State 22 to get 15% off the entire site. All right. That is Carolina State 22, 15% off the entire site. It's state tournament time.
It's time, right?
It's time.
Regionals are closed. We were able to go to 3A West for the majority of the time. We're going to talk a little bit about 3A, but let's start with 1A here.
Yes.
Right? Let's kick it off with our 1A East regionals. We're not going to talk about everything that happened in the region. We're going to talk about some of the big things. The first thing we got to talk about is URA Charter wins big.
Yes.
Man, it was a landslide. It wasn't even close. They qualified 13 out of 14.
290 points.
Yes, it was wild.
290 team points, y'all.
It's wild.
Absolutely ridiculous.
13 bullets
Dominant.
in the chamber coming to the state tournament.
The definition of dominant right there. Yeah. I mean, you bring almost your entire team to the state tournament, they're going to be a problem.
Yes.
All right. I think it's
going to be a mix.
Yes.
We'll see what happens.
It's going to be they are going to be a problem. Super excited to see them in Greensboro, but I think they're monsters. Like that's it.
They're running the East right now.
Yes,
they are running the 1A East. So I have an apology to make, Jason Kennedy. Man, I've been sleeping on you this year. I was hype on you. I kind of even picked you to win the bracket last year, and then we just didn't see him as much this year.
Right.
I feel like, and then we've seen Cooper Foster. We've seen Panama.
Yeah.
We've seen Fulp a little bit more. Jason Kennedy established himself at regionals. He's the number one title contender, period. The end. Right? He is the title contender in a very fun 106 weight class that we'll talk about in a little bit.
Yep.
And then, Tristan Hale, Logan Torchel, and Aldo Hernandez, all defending state champs in the 120, 126, and 132 weight.
Dominated the regionals. Absolutely, just ran through it. Super impressive. Bowles and Roberts, URA Charter right there.
They're big.
They're hammers.
They're big for them moving
big
forward.
Points, I think.
Yes,
big points coming on board there potentially.
They're like keys for them and moving forward as far as
how
teams.
they finish is going to be big, and we're going to go through. This is more of a state preview episode, y'all.
Yeah.
This is regionals happened. I do want to say, this sport will break your heart, will rip your heart out, man. Watching,
that was wild.
We were at the 3A West region and got to watch blood rounds, and that's my favorite and most least favorite round of anything.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It's so tough, watching kids, just their season's done. The only thing that's worse is the state tournament blood round, where that's where
I don't know. To
your
me,
season's done.
Regionals one is worse to me. Just watching that blood round, because that state qualifier, just that barrier right there, right?
You're just so close.
So close. So it's hard for me to watch those kids who want to accomplish that dream and just it doesn't happen for them. So, but
let's head out to the West.
Yeah, man. And
one that we're pretty familiar with.
Yeah,
we talked about a good little bit.
West Regionals, Avery Robbinsville duking it out, right? They were going back and forth, and it was pretty close. Avery coming out on top, though. Coming on top. Close, though. I think it was only like an 8-point margin.
Avery still coming out on top there.
Yeah.
But URA Charter might have something for the state tournament. I don't know.
I will see.
After that duel, after the state finals duel.
It was close. URA Charter's bringing 13.
Yes.
Avery's bringing 11. Robbinsville's bringing 9. Just for numbers facts, right? They're all pretty close. But bringing a couple more guys, that gives them a little more margin for error.
Right. But talking about Robbinsville, Panama.
Yeah.
On fire.
Little Panama at Alexis.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. On fire. Major wins over Fulp and Foster.
Yes. And he does them both by major decision.
Yes.
So
majors.
Not only is he winning matches right now, but he is killing people, which is very impressive, especially those two guys. And then Bryson Church of Allegheny, he wins 132, comes in clutch, beats a really couple top kids there, and it starts himself of now he's a title contender, finalist contender at 132, right?
Yeah.
Aldo Hernandez looming large there, but he puts himself on the opposite side of Aldo Hernandez, which is huge.
Right.
That's huge. That's huge.
Big time. And, we've said that about a few kids in the regional finals. That's awesome to win a regional championship, regional champ. Great and, dandy and everything. But the way it's set a few kids up in a few different brackets where it puts them, on the other side of an absolute monster just looming at the top,
Yes.
That was...
big.
And it's this case here, right? Puts them on the other side, so you don't have to face that guy in the semis. You're kind of on a collision course to the finals if you both make it there.
Yes.
So just, of course you always want to win every tournament you're in, but there's more implications from the regional tournament going to the state tournament. So Franklin Bennett, monster.
Came back, won the regional after taking that loss to Tristan Adams in the state duels, rebounds there.
Yeah.
Then makes sure that starts him back as the number one title contender at his weight, right? And then this is a big one right here. Isaac Stoker from Allegheny. Allegheny came to wrestle at the 1A West Regionals. Big win, overtime victory over defending state champion Bradley Parker. We're going to talk about it in a little bit in the state brackets, but that puts Stoker on the opposite side of Parker and Grayson Roberts.
Yes.
He put Grayson
Set
Roberts
himself up very nicely.
And now it puts Parker and Roberts in a tough situation having to wrestle each other just to get to the finals, which that was the projected final there. And then Medvar doing the same thing at 170, beating Blackledge, now puts Blackledge and Bowles on one side together, and Medvar all by himself.
Right.
So, and we'll talk about that. But that was kind of like the big notes from the two regionals. So, Rhett, let's dive into it, man.
Let's go.
I cannot
wait. The state tournament is here.
Yes.
It's time. We've been waiting for so long. Today, I think it was an embarrassing amount of numbers or amount of times. Mm-hmm. Like the number is very embarrassing for the both of us.
Yes.
Of how many times I clicked refresh, waiting for the brackets to drop.
I think it's not an exaggeration when I said I checked them every 5 minutes. I
might even say that mine was 3.
And I remember usually it feels like it's like about 11 o'clock. So like 11 to 12 o'clock range, I was probably every 2 minutes.
Just clicking it. Just going.
And then I took like a little bit of time off and I was like, no, they're back on there. Dude. And as soon as they dropped, Rhett and I were on it, texting each other about stuff.
Hype. So, we've just been excited all day. Been looking through all the brackets.
We're starting off with a hot one here, buddy. 106, 1A, at 106, 1A 106 is a fun bracket.
Yes.
At the top, like I said, you have Jason Kennedy, who's probably the title contender, favorite here, but he's got a tough first round with Creed Smith. Creed Smith, I remember seeing him at the Falcon. He's really solid. He beat Ainsley Fink there.
Yeah.
And then there you see Fulp, who's placed third 2 years in a row, right there as a potential semifinal for Kennedy. So it's not an easy, even though he's the title favorite, he dominated his regional. Man, not an easy road to the finals for him. And then at the bottom half of the bracket is where it gets really salty. You have a first round match between Ethan Hines and Cooper Foster, which I saw that match at state duels. It was a 4-3 win for Foster. Hines was in the match for sure. I felt like both guys had opportunities to score more points. So I really could see that one going either way this time. I still think Foster's maybe the favorite. I don't know. It's a little bit more of a toss-up than I originally had thought going into the state duels match for sure. And then at the man you talked about already, Mr. Alex Panama on the bottom.
Yeah.
He might be one of the most on-fire guys heading into the state tournament. So we'll kind of see.
And I think this little quadrant of the 106 bracket is big for the team race, right?
I would agree.
Right here, you've got Uwharrie, you've got Avery, and you've got Robbinsville, all right here. So there's going to be a lot of different points there, and whoever comes out of this is going to separate themselves for the team. I mean, of course, for themselves, trying to get to that state title, right? But, the further you go, the more points you're going to get every single time you win.
Really,
else.
The big money round is the semi-round.
Right.
When you punch your ticket to finals, that's a whole lot of advancement
points. So this is a big
So,
team race.
Yes. I think it's might be
big team race.
one of the three
bracket.
biggest ones,
Yes.
for sure.
I agree.
So moving up to 113, where I think we have a pretty clear favorite, and Ben Jordan from Avery. He's kind of asserted himself all year long, and he looked phenomenal with a win by fall over the East Regional champ in the state dual bracket. So we're going to see him here. He is on the bottom, right? And at the top is where Brandon Jordan, the East Regional champ, is. And man, I'm telling you, Marcos Sagan from Allegheny, we said that, those guys wrestled really well. He was a state qualifier last year. He's definitely going to be looking to kind of advance past that.
That could be an awesome semi sitting there looming over.
Agreed. Now let's move up to 120 though, because I feel like 120 we got some hammer stuff going down here. All right, so 120, you got defending state champ Tristan Hale at the top of the bracket. His potential semifinal opponent is Logan Hyde from Robbinsville, who looked really tough all year. Finished second to Pritz at the regional. I don't think that's an easy out for Tristan Hale. Obviously, Hale's the favorite going in, but Hyde's going to wrestle him really tough. All the Robbinsville kids do, right?
Yes. That's one thing about Robbinsville is they come to wrestle. They wrestle tough every single match that they're in.
Yes.
Right? Todd Odom, the crew there, they put them all together. And it's the same thing with Avery. This West Side really does come to wrestle. There's no easy match whenever you're going against them. But it's just the big thing that's different to me, right, about the East and the West, and it's not talking bad about either one of them, but I feel like the West is a little bit deeper.
Yes, but I think that's been statistically proven.
Yes,
currently.
But the top guys like your Torchels, right, your Kennedys, your Hales, their top guys are solid.
Yes,
they're in that top tier.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just
it's the next tier.
West kind of. I think we might see a few more placings out of the West, but champ wise, that's the thing. Those East guys are definitely in the conversation.
If you look at the past 4 or 5 years, I think you'll see, and especially in 1A and 2A.
Right.
The West kind of has traditionally more placers in 2A, Midwest and West, and I think that's for a couple of reasons. I think geography plays a lot of part in that as far as being closer together. But I also think that, number of schools within the region, et cetera, et cetera. But that bottom half of 120, speaking of the West, you have stud freshman from North Carolina Eastern Prep here, or Northeastern Carolina Prep, Ryan Mann. He finished runner up to Hale at the regional. Yes. And he gets, for his prize for finishing runner-up, he gets Brandon Rupp from Rosman.
Right off the bat.
Yeah, right off the bat. Who Rupp is a 2-time 4th place finisher coming into the year. And he ended up finishing
into his senior year, trying to get, trying to get to that top of the podium.
Yeah, and he finished 3rd at the regional.
Tough bracket this year.
Because, him and Hyde, I'm not sure how that match goes. I'm sure they've wrestled this year. I'll have to relook that up. But Rupp and Pritz were on the same side of the bracket.
Right.
And speaking of Kenneth Pritz, he's at the bottom. Stud freshman for Avery. Been like that all year long.
Yeah.
I was talking with his uncle about him actually the other day, and he and I both feel that Kenneth is peaking right now, kind of like getting.
Which is exactly what you want
at the best.
This is the time.
At the best he's been all year right now. So I think the potential semi on that side is fun, whether it's Rupp or Mann versus Pritz.
Yeah,
I think it's, and that's not discounting Caldefelter from South Stanley. I think Pritz right now maybe gonna move on there, but I like the potential semi there. And this is a team race wise a chance for Avery to kind of distance themselves, because there is no URA charter wrestler in this bracket. This is the one weight where they didn't qualify anybody. So if Pritz gets big points,
that's big for Avery. Big for the team race there.
So 126, we got another defending state champ here. Logan Torchel from Rosewood. He's been
Big man, Logan Torchel.
Yeah,
he is dominant.
Blazing people all year. But look at this first round matchup. Oh, my. We got Jack MacArthur and Grant Reese right off the bat, right? And this is one we saw at state duels. Reese really controlled the whole bout. But we know how it is. It's wrestling, right? It can look completely different this time. And as we were been saying, a couple weights, this is a big one for the team race.
Yes. Huge. Huge for the team race. Any head-to-head matchups here between Uwari and Avery are going to be massive, right? I mean, I don't care if it's on the front side or the back side. Whoever, that's going to be big.
Then at the bottom of the bracket, you have the man. He has over 100 pins in his career.
Shout out to Jaden Now.
Yes.
All right. Shout out to our boy Jaden Now.
Also a title favorite, right?
It's also a title favorite. But I do want to take a quick second. He did break the wins and the pins record for Robbinsville. Congratulations. That's huge.
That's awesome, man.
We love it whenever people send us in stuff like that. It's awesome. I know they posted out a bunch, but
such a nice kid too.
Yeah,
we've seen him a bunch this year, and I like his character. So him and he really set himself up really well here.
Oh yes.
With now MacArthur and Reese,
they've got to go through
Torchel are all on the same side of the bracket.
Yes.
All on the same side of the bracket. Now he has Vasquez from Thomasville, who we talked about in our episode number 27 with state dual stuff, as he's one of the top guys from Thomasville. So that would be an interesting one. We obviously, I think, all lean towards Jaden just based on, but who knows? We could potentially here get one of my favorite things, state champ versus state champ. It could happen. It could happen. We'll see what happens. This is a good little bracket, though. 2 state champs. You got another state runner-up in Reese. Really tough guys in Vasquez, MacArthur, and the rest of the crew. So 132. At the top of the bracket, you have Aldo Hernandez.
Again, the man.
man.
Aldo Hernandez.
But
super impressive kid.
Yeah.
Love watching him wrestle.
But his first round prize for blazing through the East, he gets Alex Cox from Mount Airy, who this was a projected state final at the beginning of the year at this weight. When we kind of thought Nowell and Torto would be down weights, and they ended up going that way. Shell would be up, and he did that. This is kind of what we outlined, is maybe Alex Cox versus Aldo Hernandez state final, and then all of a sudden, now it's a first-round match. That's wild.
Welcome to the state tournament.
Yeah.
I think this is the first, welcome to the big show match of that we've kind of gone through so far.
State champ versus state placer, round 1.
No joke. Round 1, off the bat, you got to come ready to wrestle. And I think that's a big thing about the state tournament. It's the biggest thing about it, right? Is that everyone is there to be a state champ. You don't have an off match. Right, your first round match isn't going to be a warm up match.
No,
some of your conference tournaments, some of your regional tournaments.
Yes.
That first one's all right, we're going to take down cut, whatever. And there are some kids that can do that, right?
Yeah.
There are kids that are on that tier, the Montepertos, Carson Floyds, the big names, right?
Yeah.
The Baglios or Marcus Jackson. Anyways,
but I get you.
Yeah. You've got to come out and wrestle.
You got to be ready.
Got to be able to scrap.
Thursday night, you got one match.
Yes.
That's it. That's all you need to worry about, one match.
Come out ready to rock. Right. And
these matches go down on Friday.
It's matches like this right here that,
But with Bryson Church winning that bracket, we talked about it, he really set himself up. He puts him opposite Aldo Hernandez, which is the one guy in the bracket for all these guys that you really want to be opposite of.
Yes.
Right? And that Cole Nixon, Matthew Linko first round match, if we didn't have Alex Cox versus Aldo Hernandez, I would pick that one as my favorite first round match. Both guys have had really solid year. Nixon from starting out really coming on here at the end. Linko just continuing to be pretty tough, solid all year. So that one's a good one. We could see a couple of different combinations for those semis on the bottom. So moving up to 138. Up top, Brian Lackey did his job for URI Charter, won the East Regional, which set himself up very nicely because now he is opposite of Ethan Shell. So that's what you really needed. And then in his bracket, though, he has Zane Luck Savage, who for Robbinsville, he's been just chipping away, I feel like, all year long. Just a little bit here, a little bit there, getting better every tournament. Todd Odom's coaching him up. And at the West Regional Tournament, did the thing, got himself to the finals, and he did, by getting himself to the finals at 1A, he did his job of putting himself opposite of Ethan Shell, who is the one guy you probably want to be opposite of in this bracket. And then you look at the bottom, you got Adam Cotterman from Swain, Gavin Davis from Rosewood. That's a banger of a first round match. I think that one's one of the more fun first round matches all around. And then obviously Ethan Shell sitting on the bottom. Now, Shell, pretty heavy favorite probably in this bracket. He's going to be big for the team race if he can do his thing and bonus his way through as he has done the past several years. So big for Zane Luck Savage and Brian Lackey to put themselves opposite of Ethan Shell going forward. And then moving up to 145, man, I tallied. I said, man, Garcia from South Stanley is going to have a really fun quarter at the regional tournament. I put out like my quarters to watch or day one matches to watch on Friday. And it was a fun one. And he came out on top, ran away through the regional. Man, this whole bracket is fun. You have Jarrett Panama in it, the bigger Panama, so he has looked really good. And then Coda Blythe from Allegheny in the bottom of that bracket too. So honestly, you could wrestle this one like 5, 6, 7, 8 times. We might get a different finalist out of the top every time. And then on the bottom, you have Jake Whitley versus Cole Lambert. That's a pretty tough little first round match. And then you have Jair Uella versus Jonathan Cable at the bottom, which we saw that one at State Duels. And Cable won by fall, but it was kind of nip and tuck there for a little while.
Yeah.
I think Cable won by fall. I can't remember. Him and the Adams match kind of ran together for me. But either way, Cable came out on top. But it was a pretty contested match.
I think 145 and 1A it's most wide open.
Yes, I would agree.
The door's wide open.
You don't have a shell.
Who's coming?
Yep.
If there's no massive favorite, who's coming? Who's going to be there, ready to wrestle, and ready to scrap? Okay, that's for me. You know, all the other ones, it's like, okay, this guy and this guy should be in the finals. Like that's like if they wrestle the way they have all season, or they wrestle, to their ability of what we've seen before, it should be these two.
Yes.
Or you've got your, 285 that we're going to talk about here in a minute. You got your Levi Andrews that's going for his fourth. He should be in the finals, right?
100%.
This one, doors wide open.
Yes.
And it should be a lot of fun to watch.
It could be huge for the team
Yes.
race if Cable is probably the one.
I mean, it's another one right here. URI Charter, URI County.
Bingo, first round.
Off the bat.
Panama on the other side of the bracket. He can make his way to the finals, and Cable and Uella do not for URI Charter and Avery. Then that's big for Robbinsville. So stepping up to 152, where, man, the regional was big in the West. Right? We said Franklin Bennett rebounds, and now he's the title favorite again. But the guy he lost to, Tristan Adams, is on his side of the bracket now. Right? So not a great sight if you're Franklin Bennett. You would hope that guy was going to be on the opposite side of you, but it's not the way the brackets worked out. So looking at the bottom with that, you have Caleb Davis, who I think is really good. I like him wrestling Bennett first round. I think that's don't come.
It's a sleeper.
Yeah, do not come not to wrestle Franklin Bennett, because I think Davis can really wrestle. And then you have Adams right there above wrestling Jacob Regrets and
sorry if we butcher any
yeah,
names.
Well,
we try our best.
Yeah, it's all good. And so we could see a rematch between Adams and Bennett in the semis, which for a long time this year people were saying should be the final, right?
Yeah.
And that's 2 state finalists going at it. And at the top of the bracket, you got Carson Robinson, who by winning the region and then by Adams finishing third instead of fourth, set himself up really nice. And he is a huge proponent for URI Charter. If they're going to do the thing. They need him to kind of slide into the finals. They're going to need his points with the other side Adams having to go through Franklin Bennett. But this side's fun too. With Chase Miller from Cherryville, who is the person who actually beat Adams at the regional tournament. So he's one to watch. We'll see if he can be able to come through. Now, 160, man, we talked about it earlier. Coming through, Grayson Roberts, Bradley Parker at the top of the bracket.
Yeah.
Whew. Man, Stoker set himself up so nice with that overtime win over Parker. I think all eyes are on this. I think this and the 170 might be the two single biggest factors for the team race. Because whoever wins between Roberts and Parker, if they both make the semis, that they're going to get big points for their team.
That's going to be
big points for the team.
A banger of a semi.
It was,
that
and
comes
Washington
up.
State duels, it could have gone the other way. Parker really could have won that match. I really felt like Parker was the better guy for a period and a half, and then the back period and a half, Roberts was the better guy.
Right.
As the match went on.
Here's the thing, and here's what you got to kind of realize a little bit, and we're going to see it in each classification, is that these teams that have wrestled each other, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's in the region, whether it's in the state duels, big environment like that, that's a lot of confidence that Grayson Roberts is going to have coming in to the state tournament. That he had a big time win, not just a win,
win,
a big win in a massive setting. He's got a lot of confidence.
If I had to pick
to carry on and bring it on again,
wrestler from state duels that I came away with more impressed than anybody else, it'd be Grayson Roberts.
Right.
Yeah, to be quite honest, I just really liked his scrambling ability, his ability on top, especially from the scrambling ability from the
sit the corner.
The corner position. Your charter is really good there. Really good there.
Yeah.
So that Bradley...
If you get in on a shot on them, you need to finish it fast.
Yes, finish fast.
Because if they sit that corner and you let them scramble...
Yes.
They're going to score. They're
going
to get the points.
They were scoring a lot from there. So, and then the bottom bracket, part of the bracket, we saw Isaac Stoker there. He's a sophomore from Allegheny. He actually is up a weight. He kind of wrestled 52 a little bit this year. And, man, that win over Parker by sudden victory was huge to put himself on this side of the bracket. We could see Isaac Williams challenge him maybe in the semis there, but with a win over Parker, that really shows, hey, he's a finals contender to try to get there. So we'll see what happens. Then 170, the same kind of setup happened, right? Except for it wasn't really an upset. At the top of the bracket, you have Doug Bowles and Seth Blackledge, right?
This is a fun way.
This one's a fun way. This is a good way. And Doug Bowles versus Seth Blackledge match, that was a fun match at the state dual tournament too. Like, they were both going after it, scoring points. Blackledge threw a headlock, Bowles re-roll, Bowles with the cradle to the fall to win the match. So that one was kind of back and forth. And we're going to get in the semis here because Medvar beat Blackledge at the regional tournament and put himself in a nice spot on the opposite side. He's down there. Not that I think Medvar needs the nice spot in the bracket, but you have two state champs and Medvar and Blackledge, and you have Doug Bowles, who's a state runner-up, right? So what a bracket. What a bracket. So we could get a state champ on state champ match with Blackledge and Medvar. We could get a Doug Bowles and Medvar match. That would be a good one as well. Or some of these other guys, like Jordan Rudini from Veltzer Academy. He can mess this up, right? And Gabriel Lillard from Swain County. Or any of these guys. I really think this is a pretty fun bracket. You have those three kind of favorites, but it's a good little one. And then stepping up to 182, you have two kind of favorites here. I mean, Kyle Fink, what a historic career. He's about to close it out right here this weekend. No matter what happens, right, he's going to be one of the history books going state runner-up, champ, and going down weights. And we talked about it, I think, on the last episode. This is the best we've ever seen him look, I think. He looks really good at 82. So he's on the bottom side of the bracket. His main contender probably on the bottom side is Jaden Manis from UR Charter. So kind of a big deal there. And then at the top, we have Joseph Akers from South Davidson, who's kind of been out at the east, just kind of beating the tar out of people out east. And So he's kind of set himself up. I think De La Roche from Rosewood, or maybe even Carson Griffith can kind of be in his way. But I think we might be his collision course Fink Akers match. We'll see, though. Then we are going to, at 195, we talk about them a whole lot. I was maybe one of the first conductors of the Cage Williams hype train, and that has been backed up by what he's done, right?
No doubt.
Has
been absolutely dominant, one of the best kids in the state. There's no arguing it, you know? He's one of the top kids in our state. That's just, it is
period,
what it is.
The end, right? And he's shown it. He has one loss in the year, which was he had a forfeit via injury in the Holy Angels finals.
Right.
But other than that, just been utterly dominant. Don't see much changing here. We do have Tyler Parrish from Rosewood up at the top and the 1 seed out of the East. But he does have Blake Same from Swain County first round right off the bat, which is not a great draw for a regional champ.
Swain's another one of those teams that they've just been wrestling great all year. They've been wrestling solid all year. They're really building something special there. Put together a good run state duels, but it's just tough whenever you're coming out of this year's West, right? Coming out of the West this year with Avery and Robbinsville. It's tough to crack through there. But don't overlook Swain.
Yes.
They're all really tough kids. They're all going to come and wrestle really well. And like I said, they're building something very special there.
So at 220, I think we have like an unsung hero to the team race type deal.
Yep.
Grayson Holloman from Avery County. He drew Jaden Merriman first round. I'm pretty sure this is the rematch of, well, no, because Merriman wrestled Zach Vance at the state duels. And Merriman won that one. So Merriman kind of asserted himself there as like, hey, other than Wachacha, I can beat anybody, right? Yep. And who knows, he could beat him here this weekend. But Holloman, whether he wins that match or not, I think is going to be very important for Avery to get some points on the backside.
He's got to
they're going to need him.
Man on fire.
They're going to need him to kind of come up. And I'm not saying he has to place, but he needs to win one.
Yeah.
He needs to win one, I think. Maybe not needs to, but I think it helps.
And that's one of the toughest things at the state tournament is taking an early loss.
Yes.
Right? You don't, it's just, and it's always tough to talk about that before as a coach, but, you take that early loss, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the team needs you.
Team needs you.
Especially in this big of a team race.
I think for
with Avery, URA, Robbinsville.
It's almost harder to get back up. 2A, 3A, 4A, you take a first round loss, you got a night to kind of sleep on it, recover. 1A, bam,
you're back on the
mat right away.
As 1A is only a 2-day tournament.
Yeah.
And so that's just a big one, right? Your dream being a state champ this year.
Mm-hmm.
Done. Right? That's where it's going to be massive for these three programs and any program trying to win a state title or a team title, right? Is how are their kids going to react? Are they going to take that first loss and say, okay, I guess I'm done. That's it. Or are they going to come up and say, hey, my team needs me. Let's go.
Those programs that have that big following, that big impact, and a lot of kids there, it's going to be not easier for us, because I don't want to use that word, but I think they're going to be able to rally behind it and be like, hey, let's go. We need
the brother. The family. The family comes into it.
And it helps when you have a big bunch of groups.
It does, It's tough. It's really tough to bounce back whenever you're the lone qualifier.
Yeah, or
you and another guy, right? Yeah, exactly.
But Big Ben Wachacha finds himself in the bottom of the bracket. He's kind of established himself as the favorite all year long after kind of emerging as the favorite last year about halfway through. Could be the third state champ in a row for Robbinsville if things go their way.
Right.
And then closing out 1A with the big boys and history maker.
Big man.
Yes, history maker could be a 4-time state champ, Levi Andrews, and he would be the heaviest one.
Yeah.
Right? The last one that had beers was be Landon 4, right?
Sheriff Landon 4.
A year ago, but the Andrews winning his first 2 titles at 220, winning last year at heavyweight.
And staying up at heavyweight again this year and has looked dominant.
Yes.
Heading to App State commit.
Yep, John Mark. Do you know John Mark's like, listen, you went to Avery, I went to Avery, you come to App.
Yeah.
Right, just one of those. So he does have Matthew Wade, who was supposed to be kind of the Eastern title contender, like the guy that might challenge. And he has him in the semis because Wade got beat in the regional finals by Deshaun Hallman from Thomasville. So a Wade-Andrews matchup could be interesting. I think we've seen enough about Andrews. We kind of know where it's going to go. So the other side of the bracket, though, you have Hallman, and his first round draw is not great for a regional champ. You got Archuleta from Starmount, who punched his ticket, qualified for the state tournament, hungry for more. Yeah. Starmount got a lot of young kids. It's just a sophomore, Archuleta. So, and then on the other side, you have your Charles Mormon and Carlos Wesley, who he placed third last year. Looked really good all year. He's a man out there. He looked solid, tough. I think that side of the bracket you could see a couple different ways. Even though Wesley probably maybe the favorite, but it's definitely going to be one where you got to keep your eyes on it and see what happens. Right. So a lot of tough guys. 1A is going to be fun, man.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I'm excited to see Friday, then get there, get the tournament going. Quarters kicked off, this first round kicked off, and the team race will be on, man. URA Charter, Avery, Robbinsville. See what happens. I think a lot of people know how we feel. Maybe. We'll see. I don't know.
We'll do some champ picks. We'll do team and individual at a later date. Yeah. Right now we just want to preview the tournament. And so
check it out.
1A's a lot of fun. Some monsters here. Some of the best kids in the state wrestling here in 1A. Some awesome finals potential going on, but a lot of really good first round matchups too. And that's thing that's really exciting. I think 1A has some of the best first round matchups in the whole tournament. Really interesting team race. 1A is one to keep your eye on the whole tournament, right? Yep. And definitely keep your eye on to that team race going on because I think it's one of the best ones of those three.
Yes.
So stay tuned. We're going to hit 3A next and enjoy. .3A.
Let's do it, man.
Here we go. Hey, really fast. You've made it this far in the video. Click the subscribe button for us. It really helps us out. Also, go check out CarolinaTakedownTalk.com. All right? Go check it out. We've got the support us portion on there. Links to our Patreon, links to our PayPal. That helps us travel the state, get to the state tournament, pay for hotel, gas, food, stuff like that. Just really helps us out along the way in this process. We're trying to bring y'all the best content in North Carolina. I believe we're going to bring you the best covered state tournament of all time. We've got some awesome content coming this week.
And speaking of the state tournament,
yes.
First Flight's bringing 6. And did you know First Flight won the 3A East? First Flight till the wheels fall off. I was pumped, excited. Texas Coach Kepler afterwards. It was close, though. 1 point. By 1 point over Curry Tuck. Curry Tuck wrestled well, too.
Avenged that loss there.
Last
time that they faced Currituck. I mean, it was a duel, but you know.
Yeah, and wearing my First Flight state champ tee from 2016 when they had Carlos Martinez, Connor Hughes, Arian Lee, Kyle Cortez, and Jeremiah Derby doing their thing.
Solid team.
Yeah, great team. So they won the 3A East. Like I said, First Flight till the wheels will fall off for me. I'm a First Flight homer.
He's proud of it.
Take that to the bank.
Proud of it.
They looked good. That's pretty much the major storyline of the 3A East. 3A Mid East, I felt like the major storyline was a team race thing too.
Yeah.
Cape Fear, Union Pines, and Orange just kind of duking it out there.
Yep.
All 3 teams bring a bunch of qualifiers. It's going to be fun to see kind of who emerges. I think Cape Fear's really kind of a state tournament type built team, so that could be interesting. So there,
Union Pines is always solid.
Yeah, they looked great. They made the state dual finals.
Yep.
Right. So, and then at the Midwest, the Midwest is kind of where we have all the like hammer individual kids. So like Baglio, Jackson Baglio, Monteperto, Marcus Jackson, Jacob Cox, Aiden Curry, and Brady Ross all roll.
All dominate.
Charleston Baglio is out. He was not able to compete at regionals.
Hate to see that. Hate to see you guys.
Great kid. I saw a post
Season end.
By his mom, though, that even though he wasn't able to compete, he was there cheering his brother on and Marcus on. And then
that's awesome.
Kind of just seems to stick with the theme of that team where we saw Marcus Jackson last year, even though his dreams didn't go his way.
Yeah, was there
cheering on
his teams.
You can tell high character kids. So
exactly. Number one fan still here.
Yeah, still number one fan.
Still.
Really proud of those guys. Yeah. So, and those individuals all did their thing. They rolled. They dominant. But the best bracket there was 145 with Fight and Stephen Cotton and Ian Murdoch. And Cotton beats Murdoch in the semis, beats Fight in the finals. Cotton's been kind of under the radar a little bit this year. Got injured in the middle of the year, I think.
Turned it on.
He's been and his win over Fight was pretty big. So big win there. And then out west where we were at, we were able to be there for the majority of Saturday. We had to leave a little earlier than we wanted to with finals.
In the finals, yeah.
And we got there a little bit later.
They started, I think, 145.
Yes, sir.
We got to see from 145 to heavy.
Yes, I left after 95.
Some really good finals.
Yeah, fun. North did it right.
North did it right. They always do. You know, all their tournaments, they run great. Coach Oy, Coach Knock, class acts, awesome program, right? The biggest final that I really wanted to see, Charlie Sly, Carter Floyd.
Yeah.
Sly takes it this time.
Yes.
We didn't get to see that one. Like I said, they started at 45. We had to leave at heavyweight. So we were sitting there refreshing, hoping to see a check and track, like we were today with the brackets again.
Yep.
I think this is one that I think it could be a state finals.
Yeah, we could see
matchup
this weekend.
I personally actually haven't watched or checked that exact bracket yet to see where they fall. So I'm excited to see that. But that's a state finals caliber matchup right there. 100%. I think is the better way to put that. Slide takes the first one here. I don't know if they've met before, but
I think they've at least wrestled. They're both dark horse.
Maybe in the championship season here, we'll say Slide takes the first one.
Yeah.
Right, if they meet up again. But I think an even bigger story comes from the freshman.
Yes, stud.
The freshman, Bray Trevette, taking out Noah Tokubin in the finals.
Yes.
And taking out Xander Hill in the exact same tournament.
Yeah, same day. Semis and finals.
Absolute monster, amazing run. Cannot wait to see this kid at the state tournament and see what he does. And then Mejia over Landreth.
Yeah, that was another. So you said 113 was the one you were looking for the most. 120 was mine.
Yeah.
I thought it was gonna be a style clash. Damon real slick on his feet. Probably one of the more improved kids in our entire state.
Yeah.
Mejia really solid. Doesn't make a whole lot of mistakes. Going to take people to deep water. He's going to be really tough on top. So I was interested to see how the style matchup was going to go. And Mejia comes out on top of Landreth there.
Right. And just tops off with that how dominant Ford has been. Right. Just they showed this regional.
Won by over 100 points.
Yes.
Well over 100 points.
It just shows just how dominant they continue to be. Really excited for this 3A team race, right? We talked about 1A earlier in the episode.
Yeah.
Awesome team race. Another great one here. Central Cabarrus, Central Academy. I know it's a little bit
different now with Charleston.
It's different. They're losing a lot of points off of Charleston, but they've still got
hammers.
They've still got hammers. Yeah. They've still got bullets in the gun there.
But between
so to
Ford,
speak.
Cata, Union Pines in there, right?
Union Pines in there.
Orange, Cape Fear.
Orange in there, exactly.
Who knows? First Flight could sneak in there.
First Flight could pop in there.
They got studs, so.
3A is, I think it's still controlled by Ford. I think Cata is a close second right there, but they're right there. Super excited for this team race.
Yeah,
with that being said,
I think it's one of the more competitive ones.
Yes.
For sure.
With that being said, let's kick off 3A 106 right here.
And let's just start at the top of the bracket, work our way down every time. I like that. So at the very top, we got a pretty good one here. Kane Bryson, who we saw win a wild semi this weekend.
Yes.
Last second escape gave him the win in the semis, and then he dominated with a tech fall in the finals. He has women's state champ Lily Pendergrass right off the bat. Right off the bat. So fun one in that little quad. I also think Redmond Williamson from Northern Nash there is a really tough matchup for anybody. I think that'll be a good one to watch if he and Bryson both advance. And then that next bottom quad, you have Caden Ferris and Charlie Price matching up round one, and Fabian Rivera and Daniel Graham kind of going at it in that one. That's a good little quad as well. And then moving on to the bottom part. The bottom part of the bracket, I think, is where the firepower is. I kind of like the bottom bracket, the bottom part of this bracket, better than the top as far as like how many studs are slid in here. Especially right here, this first quad in the bottom, we got Kyle Simpson from Parkwood, who's had a phenomenal freshman year.
Yeah.
Right? And he's wrestling round one, Keaton Crawford from Union Pines, who's been really good. We saw him at the Tiger. I saw him at State Duels. He's a kid that's going to wrestle your hard the whole time. And then if whoever wins that one potentially has Cole Hunt from Jacksonville, who's a super stud freshman from out east. But that's if Cole Hunt gets past Trevor Moore from Kings Mountain, who we saw this weekend, and he looked really good as well.
Right.
So that one's fun. And then on the very bottom, it's got probably the best round one matchup of the bracket, which is Samuel Appoint versus Levi White from North Davidson. White's been in and out of the top part of the rankings all year long. Obviously, finishing fourth of the regional tournament isn't where he wanted to end up, and that puts him against Samuel Appoint, who Aponte.
Yeah, I think it's Aponte. Aponte. Let us know.
I think it's Aponte. Samuel Aponte. And Aponte's been kind of the number one kid in the state all year long, and this is his chance to kind of prove it. Right.
Prove his stake there.
But at the very bottom, his potential quarters opponent was Caden Carpenter. That's the one that Kane Bryson had the really tough match of in the semis. So that
came down to the last few seconds.
Insane
finish.
It's on our Instagram. I got the last couple seconds of the match. Bryson was up by 2. Caden goes upper body, gets the throw, but then is unable to keep control all the way through. He's awarded the 2, and then Bryson kind of falls out of bounds and gets the escape because he broke that control there.
In the last few seconds.
Time ran out. Yeah. There was no time left to even get back to the center in 1 second, nothing. It was wild. So Caden really could be a bracket buster here with this weight. So
definitely.
And then 113 for 3A. Man, with 113, we were just talking about it. Who is the title contenders, right? Let's start right at the top. He's probably the number one guy right now, right? Charlie Sly. I mean, I would say not even probably the number one guy. He's the favorite heading into the weekend after he beat Carter Floyd.
I think so.
Right? So on his side of the bracket, he has a decent little quarter here with Christian Lamar and Ethan Brownlee. But the bottom side of this is his potential semis opponent with Marquise Shaw versus Jaden Crawford at the very bottom.
Huge matchup there.
Yeah, we saw we were really both impressed with Jaden Crawford at the Tiger Classic. And then Santos from Ashboro and Devin Husky from East Lincoln. That's a banger of a first round matchup. So that little quad, probably the best quad of this bracket, in my opinion. And then we find ourselves looking right here at the top part of the bottom bracket with Carter Floyd. That's the name we go to right away, right? He's been crushing people all year long. He's going to have Eastern Guilford, Adam Salazar, and Skylar Oxford from West Carteret. Probably the 2 people who are going to be kind of in his way of making the semis as a freshman. And then on the very bottom, you got Caleb Haynes from North Gaston, who's had a really good year. He had an awesome Holy Angels tournament. He looked good at the Western Regional. I think he looks a little better at Holy Angels. But, hey, a week is a long time to fix, adjust, move forward. Especially because, I mean, he's in the match. He's in a bracket in the West with Carter Floyd and Charlie Sly. So, even if you finish third to those 2, you're going to be in the mix to make the semifinals of the state tournament. And then Cedar Ridge's Fernando Martinez was that Mid-East champ. So he's definitely one to watch to maybe be a potential semifinal point for an opponent for Oxford or Floyd, whoever comes out of that top quarter.
No doubt.
I think people are looking for that Sly Floyd rematch probably in the finals. That's where a lot of brains
That's
are going.
kind of what I'm sitting here hoping for.
Yeah,
you know?
I want to
it's
see
one
it.
of those that's a long ways away. Right?
Yeah,
that's
a lot.
3 days of wrestling away.
Yes.
Okay. A lot of things can happen. Like we said in the 1A video, you got to come ready to scrap.
Yep.
Okay. You cannot come here and look over anybody. Okay.
Especially
you can't look to the finals in the first round. You can't look to the finals in the quarters.
I feel like especially too in the quarters round, we see a lot of upsets. Like that Friday morning round.
That first one, some people
off the
they
scale
don't warm up the right way or whatever
more off
it
the
is.
scale than the day before a little bit. I feel like you had to hold your weight, make weight Thursday. You have to make it again Friday, and you're like, oh man, I got to make it again Saturday.
It's daunting.
So it's definitely one you got to make sure you're ready to go. Stepping up to 120, we'll talk about Isaiah Morrison and Tyler Cowell up in the top part of the bracket. I really think those two are kind of maybe on a collision course to see each other in the quarters. Cowell winning the East over Krasiski, Morrison taking third in the West to Mejia and Landreth. So again, like a Haynes type thing. You know, if you're taking third behind those two guys, you can make the semis. But then that bottom quarter, man, we talked about Damon Landreth, most improved, one of the most improved guys in the state, and he draws Jackson Baglio as a potential quarters opponent again. That's what happened to him last year. That's why he wasn't a placer last year. I'll say it. I think Damon would have placed last year at the state tournament, and he draws Baglio again. Definitely not your ideal draw. Now, Damon has shown, though, he can compete with those guys, right? He was 6'5" with Mejia, beating top-ranked guy after top-ranked guy this year. Definitely showing he's a different kid than a year ago at this time, where Baglio won by fall. So it could be a way more.
It's still one of the toughest draws I've seen.
Way
in the whole
more. This is a tough draw for someone who really could have been, if he was on the other side of the bracket, could have been in the finals.
Could have been finals.
Yeah. So this is
it
still could be.
I'm not saying he won't be.
I think he's going to.
He's slick enough.
Yeah.
He's slick enough on his feet. And I think for him, and this is projecting a little bit, right?
Yeah,
We're not making any picks. We're not doing anything like that on these videos for the previews. But if he comes out, wrestles solid, fundamentally sound, wrestles his matches, he can mix it up with the best of them. And he's right there.
Yeah.
And sometimes all it takes is being at the state tournament.
Yes,
having the lights, when the lights are bright, to have that day, right?
Yeah.
Have a day. Make it your tournament.
I think what could be the difference in this match is what it was a year ago is that top game of Baglio. Baglio is one of the best kids in the state on top. He showed it at sophomore nationals. That's how he won his sophomore nationals title. I think that we could see that make a difference again. So moving on to the bottom part of the bracket, though, you have Christian Rothrock from Douglas Byrd in the Mid-East. He was the champ out. He's 18-1. So you got to think he's probably one of the favorites. But first flights, Jacob Krasiski. He was a runner-up at regionals here, 21-5 on the year. He was state placer last year. Got fourth last year at 2A 113. I think he could bust this up, find his way to the semis. We'll see. But definitely seeing some first flight love there. I do think he has
first flight till the wheels fall off, huh?
But his first round match with Luke Hiegler, kind of as a East Rowan guy, it's a big one. That Hiegler's had a really solid year, 40-4 in the year. So definitely one that we can't have Krasiski look by. And then at the bottom, you have Braden Mejia sitting there, right? And Connor Wishon from Ledford is probably his potential quarters match. But Mejia, he's been on the stage before, right? He's been on the big stage. It's different. It's at Greensboro this year. Thank everything. We are back at Greensboro in the Coliseum.
Thank you.
Yes.
So pumped. Can't wait.
But he has navigated the field before. So he's definitely the favorite out of the bottom. That win over Landreth, that 6-5 win over Landreth was huge.
Yes.
Put him on the complete opposite side of Baglio, and if he would have lost, We could have seen a state champ on state champ quarterfinal.
Quarters, yeah.
So
Insane.
Big win there. Stepping up to 126, where we have at the top from Statesville, Parker Gallagher. He had a huge win over Gunnar Marshall in the finals, and it was not close from what I understand. We obviously, like you said, we missed that final, but heard he was looking really good. I have heard really good things about Jacob Perry from West Rowan, who could be Gallagher's potential quarters opponent. And then Isaac Garkowski from Swansboro in that next bottom quarter is someone who I've seen his name pop up all year long with good results.
Garonski from Swansboro?
Yeah, Garonski from Swansboro. But Dylan Heffernan from Orange is another kid. They're kind of similar. I've just continued to see their names and I'm like, oh, that's a good win. That's another good win.
They keep on popping up. They keep on. They've been really consistent. Is one great thing about them.
So the regional champs of Gronkowski and Gallagher.
Garonsky.
Yeah, that messed
Gronkowski.
Gronkowski.
Rob's wrestling 106 or 126.
Spike
here?
it, bro. Spike it. No, but the big thing for them from winning their regionals is guess what it did?
Set them up very nicely
put them
away from
Monteperto.
One of the GOATs.
Yeah, who history maker, right? We talked about Levi Andrews. Monteperto could be a history maker, win 4 titles.
Right.
Could be super impressive run for him as far as how dominant he's been on all of his titles.
If you're looking for someone to follow and a storyline to follow throughout the whole tournament, 3A 126, Kyle Monteperto from Central Academy.
Yep.
He is one you don't want to miss it whenever he steps on the mat.
Yeah.
You don't want to miss
You want to watch him, study him, replicate what he's doing.
You don't want to miss a second of when this kid's on the mat. One of the best in North Carolina history, in my opinion. But, so if you're looking for one to follow.
The way he's toured up on the national scene, he's right up there. So Monteperto down there in that bottom part of the bracket, but the top half of it. And it's got my favorite, and this quad is my favorite first round match of this bracket. Gunnar Marshall versus Blake Austin. Marshall, East Henderson, Austin out of first flight. And that's a big one right there. I think both kids were really scrapped. Been able to see both of them a lot, different stages of the career. So I think that's one we could see fireworks.
Gunnar, his real coming out party was regionals.
Yeah.
Right? In my opinion, that's semifinals.
I kind of think the grapple was when he beat Renda in the finals after losing to him the week before. But regionals is...
I still think it was this one. Just the way he wrestled throughout the tournament. We didn't get to see him in the finals, but the way he wrestled his semifinals match, right? Just aggressive the whole time, doing anything he needed to do to get that win.
Yes.
Almost a little over-aggressive, right?
At times.
He wanted to get it done so bad and wrestled awesome all week. He's got a tough side of it. He's got a tough draw here, right? And the first flight kid's not an easy draw in the first round either.
No, yeah.
But
it's like I said,
super excited.
It's my favorite first round match.
Awesome freshman to keep your eye on at the state tournament.
And then on the bottom, you have the Mid-East champ from Southern Durham, Shane Wary. But he's got a really tough draw. Sam Workman from Central Cabarrus. Sam, to be quite honest, is probably one of the keys to Central Cabarrus' hopes for pushing for top 5, top 3, right? They need him. Mm-hmm. And I think he can get this done. I think he can find himself navigating himself to the semis. He's one of those kids that you're like, he was 4th at regionals, but you could see him coming out of the bracket and being in the semis opposite of Monteperto, right? Like that's possible. So stepping up to 132, where we have at the top probably the kid I was most impressed by at the regional tournament is Matt Courageous, right? Everybody knows his older brother, state champ, Zach Courageous, and we were probably the most impressed by him a year ago.
Yes.
But Matt, with a win in the semifinals over Henry Portella, dominant win, I felt like. I was on that mat getting some clips from it, and he just controlled the thing the whole time, and then goes ahead and wins in the finals over state runner-up Hunter Clark. So big wins there. Courageous looked really good.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, especially from the top position, I feel like. Really good. So, and he does have Hutchins, from Orange, and Rutherford from Havelock and his quad, both solid programs. Their guys are going to wrestle hard, right?
Yes.
So, but
Next.
the only thing is that by winning the West, he kind of set him up. We've talked about how kids have set themselves up for like a good type of deal.
Yeah.
Courageous actually kind of set himself up for a bad type of deal.
He gave himself a
he allowed Hunter Clark
fun one.
to be on the other side where he has Marcus Jackson, right? Marcus Jackson is bottom
one of our
quarter.
favorite kids in the state.
Yes.
Just when you meet him, awesome kid.
Super kid.
Just great character.
His potential.
The biggest, for me, to go back to last year, or to last state championships, the biggest just tragedy of no wrestlebacks.
Yeah.
Like, just watching that match, how it ended, on the call that it ended. I mean, great rivalry that him and Tripp had. It went on all year back and forth, but the way that match ended, watching him walk off the mat, it's just one of those that it did not feel right.
Yeah.
It's always tough to watch a kid, especially state placer, not, place again or losing that blood round.
Mm-hmm.
But to watch a kid lose in the quarters at the caliber of Marcus Jackson, and also just the character of Marcus Jackson,
I think too.
I'm so stoked. I'm cheering for him so big. I try not to be unbiased.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I know you're Centric Cabarrus until some of the wheels fall off. Not all.
Number one fan. But no, just even from a pure wrestling perspective, I think he might be one of the kids in our state that has the most upside. Like he's only scratching the surface of how good he really could be.
I think him and Tomas Brooker are right there in the same conversation of kids with the highest ceiling at the next level.
Yeah.
Just frames that you could build into, styles that you just, I mean, long, lanky, quick, powerful.
Yes. Yeah.
A lot of fun to watch them. I'm super excited to see him in Greensboro.
Can't wait. And
Marcus, I'm rooting for you.
So first round matchup, he has Ross Watts, who's really solid, real tough. Actually, no, Ross's grandparents, great people. So good, tough round first matchup for Marcus Jackson. I think we all have a feeling how it might go, but definitely not like your favorite draw right out the gate, right? And then in the top part of this bottom bracket, right, we have Lieberman from Currituck. First round has Phineas McCafferty. Phineas McCafferty has had big wins this year, including over the guy in the bottom part of this quad here, Hunter Clark. So this one is real tough between Lieberman, McCafferty, Clark, and then Shannon Edwards from East Rowan. I think that that quad is probably the best quad of the bracket. And then on the bottom is where we find ourselves the fire first round matchup. That is the best one of 132 and definitely the best one of 3A so far. We have Elijah Harris, former state placer from Cata, versus Henry Pertilla from North Henderson, who was a third place state winner last year. Pertilla lost to Courageous in the semifinals of the West region. Elijah Harris lost to Marcus Jackson in the finals. Man, so on this side of the bracket with Harris and Pertilla and Hunter Clark, right, you have really, and Lieberman and McCafferty, you have a lot of options to get to the finals. All the guys on the opposite sides of Courageous and Marcus Jackson, really good for them. Right, really good for them. And you could see, I mean, honestly, look, we've said this a couple times, but I think you could wrestle this one 10 times and maybe get 10 different finalists and mix it up. I think, truly, this side of the bracket is important for the team race. Right? If Hunter Clark can make his way back to the finals, like he did last year as a freshman,
right,
huge points for Ford. Right? That's going to really give them a lot of points. If Elijah Harris can make his way through the bracket,
huge points
and get
for
points.
Cata there.
Cata needs those points.
Yes.
Really, they need him.
Cata is really relying on Elijah Harris for their team race.
Yeah, they need him and Fight in particular, points wise, to come through.
Right.
I think they have those three that are going to stick out and score a lot of points. If Harris and Fight can bring the party, and Lutz at 152, if they can bring and score a good bit of points too, then they're going to put themselves in position to win the team tournament. And then at 138, we got someone who's going to close out. I feel like we've been talking a lot about legendary careers, and this is another one with Jacob Cox. But he's in this top part of the bracket. At the very top, you have David Saunders from Currituck. One of Currituck had a few regional champs. That team race for first flight was so close. Really excited just to see both programs in the two. And Manio did a great job in 2A as well.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that on the next episode, but just the Eastern North Carolina programs, the 252, doing really well. Just all the schools that were around where I grew up. But David Saunders has a very tough quad with Verback from Union Pines and Xander Hill from Pisgah. Matching up first round there. And then the winner could potentially have Saunders and derail Saunders from trying to make that semifinal. And then the big man we were talking about, Jacob Cox, is on the bottom part of this top half of the bracket, and he's got Noah Tokubin. Tokubin has looked so good all year long. Just 2 losses, Brock Carey, and then to Braetrevett in the finals, right?
Has looked great.
I mean, yeah.
Really was ineligible last year, right? Mm-hmm. This year, I really think that Grayson Harris, having him in the room with him, has doubled his game.
Yeah.
I mean, has made him so much better, having that good of a workout partner in the room. I mean, awesome season so far. Like you said, I really think that shows just how good Trevette is, and just how impressive that freshman is. Man, like
to beat Xander Hill,
one of the top ones in the whole state,
and Tokubin
really,
back to back,
same day.
Yeah, that's
like you said.
Impressive, and it set him up really well because now instead of him being in the bracket with Jacob Cox, who's a heavy favorite in this bracket, right? 2-time state champ already.
He comes down to the bottom.
He comes down to the bottom, and now Tokubin has that quarter matchup, which is a very tough draw for Tokubin, right? Like, we think very highly of him, but to have Jacob Cox is not ideal. So in the bottom part of the bracket, though, you have this top quad in the bottom part of the bracket with Freeman from Central Cabarrus and Cody Raymond from Croatan, Dawson Cody from Ford, and Boisevert from Cape Fear. Like, this one is, like, wide open to me. Wide open.
What a draw to grab Dawson Cody first round.
I mean, think about what that man did this weekend, right? And I say man because he did man stuff this weekend, right? He beat Antonio Caldwell, who was a state runner-up last year.
Yep.
Right? He beat him. He was pushing everybody he wrestled. Like, I mean,
he was in every match he was in. He was right there.
Right there. And he was a big part of. He's going to be a big part of Ford's team race here. Yes. We were talking about Hunter Clark for them a minute ago, Dawson Cody. If Dawson Cody can manage his way to the semis through that quad, or even just plays through the backside, I mean, he was wrestling out of his mind this weekend. I know
he's a 4-seed too.
Yeah, I know he took 4th, but that bracket between Xander Hill, Tokubin, Antonio Caldwell, him, Dawson Cody, right, and Trevette, that was a bracket.
Yeah.
So Dawson Cody, even though he's a 4-seed, not an ideal draw for a regional champ.
Somebody to keep your eye on.
So in that bottom part is the man we've been talking about, right? He is there, freshman, 37-1, man. 37-1.
37-1 freshman.
One loss
138
to Greg Merriman up at 145.
Which is not a bad loss at all.
Great loss.
That is, and I think he'd get it back if they wrestled right now. After watching him, after watching him this weekend, I don't know.
I don't know. Merriman won pretty big. So, but I mean, I will say,
but he's jumping levels.
Trevette looked phenomenal.
Trevette is jumping levels, man.
He looks really good though. But he does have Daniel Tierney from Concord as a potential quarters matchup. Tierney placed as a freshman, was not able to replicate that last year.
He's definitely gonna get tested.
It's definitely right away.
Yep, right away off the bat.
So 145, we find ourselves in probably the most highly competitive bracket, but you still have a favorite, and he's right up at top, defending state champ, Zach Courageous. We talked to him a good bit this weekend. Man, at regionals last year when he put the beat down on Eli Foster a little bit, we both talked, and I said I don't know if I was impressed by anybody more than him. And he looks maybe better than we've ever seen him. He looks really good.
Right.
And his composure is probably the thing that I think is his biggest asset. In his semifinals match, he got taken down right away, which
questionable too. But
I wouldn't have called that too. They were still scrambling, but that's here nor there. But he just stayed calm. He stayed collected.
Chipped right back in.
Chipped right away. It didn't take him long to get back on top of that one and that match. So, but his quad here is fire. He right off the bat has Scott Krasiski, who state qualifier 2 years ago.
From where?
First Fly High School, located in Killable Hills, North Carolina. So Scott Krasiski, he's a tough draw. I know he's like another 4 seed that I'm like, man, I know he's a 4. But that's a tough 4.
Yeah.
And then, look who's on that other part. Logan Fight.
This is a very good little quad here.
This is very good. Very good. Maybe the best quad.
He's got Avery Clark from Orange right there, off the bat. That's a fun matchup right away. But this possible Courageous Fight quarters for me, huge. But even, and that's really big for Kata's team race there. If Fight can figure out a way to get past Clark here in the first round, right? That's good matchup there. But then he's handed Courageous. I mean, well, maybe not guaranteed, right? Definitely not guaranteed here. But Courageous Fight quarter, huge, big time.
Huge. That's maybe my favorite quarter of the whole 3A brackets. I'm not sure, but that's fire. And then in the bottom part here, you have Ryan Fisher and Kang from Freedom matching up right away. Kang from Freedom wrestled really tough.
Always does.
All right, really tough.
He's one of the toughest kids to wrestle, I think, in the whole.
His 2 losses this weekend were to Courageous and Brock Carey. So a state runner-up and a state champ. So really tough. Another 4 seed that's not ideal for Fisher. And then we also have in the bottom part, Steven Cotton set himself up really good. It could have been him if he lost in the finals. It could have been him with Courageous in the quarters, but nope, he's on the bottom half. But he does have Stone Shapiro, who beat Brock Carey. He was losing, threw a headlock, got the fall. Look, he's a kid that's always impressed me, just kind of getting better a little bit each time I see him.
Yeah.
And we've seen him here. I mean, we've did the Mike Mott camp. He was there. We went somewhere else. He was there.
Travels. Gets out to camps. Was at the Jeff Jordan camps over the summer. Just kid that's always working. Really good kid.
Yeah.
But
really
has just been in some tough brackets in his career.
That Cotton Shapiro quarter, the quarters at this weight.
I think he's in a good spot this year. I really like for Shapiro's case to try and finish it as a state champ. Really good spot.
Yeah, I mean Cotton's so good.
Yes,
but
he is.
This whole bracket's got really good spots.
He is, but I'd rather.
That bottom quad.
Dude,
you see that bottom
yes,
quad?
I do. But up top, you've also got Courageous Fight. They just, I don't know. He's in a good spot. I think that Stone's in a good spot here. He's got to wrestle his mind. He's got to wrestle out of his mind, I think.
Yeah.
Right? He's got to bring a perfect tournament. But this bottom quad with Gage Lloyd from Union Pines.
Gage Lloyd was pretty close to beating Brock Carey at the state duels. So.
But this might be one of the best first-round matchups there is with Lloyd and Ian Murdoch.
Yes, Murdoch state placer. Gage Lloyd's been super good all year long.
Yep.
It might be the best first-round matchup. I don't know. There's so many good ones.
Winner there gets maybe the toughest 3. The toughest.
We get that one
third
right out the gate.
Yes.
Thursday, man. I cannot wait to be there and see this one in person. That's definitely one where my eyes are going to be falling to, right?
Yep.
And then winner probably gets Brock Carey, which, one word, warrior. Brock Carey is a warrior. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, just wait till the state tournament. That kid is a warrior, straight up. No other word.
Definition of guts and grit, right there.
Yeah.
Just the definition of want it so bad you'll do anything to get it. I mean, just awesome to watch him. It's it's impossible not to cheer for that kid at the state tournament.
At 152, we could see a battle of Rhett's homer Inca bias here versus my first flight homerness. At the top of the bracket, we have Grayson Harris, who, to be quite honest, I don't know. I said this to you during the finals. I've watched Grayson a lot over the past 4 years, his career.
Yeah.
This is the best Grayson Harris we've ever seen. This is the best version of him that has ever been on a mat.
Yeah.
He looks really good. He's always been good, but he looks really good.
As you said, there is Inca bias there.
Yeah.
Shout out, Coach Conley from West Henderson,
Yeah.
I'm messing with you, man.
Coach Conley
but shout out to the staff.
talking about it, and it is epic.
Yeah,
I love it.
man,
I love it.
Shout out to the Inca staff. Loved my time there, and wasn't able to coach there this year. Just different things going on.
Yeah, doing this.
Doing this, but love them. Been keeping up with them all year. This is the Grayson Harris that I've been seeing in the room for the past few years. Like, he's finally reaching his potential. He's finally there.
Yeah.
And I cannot wait to see him put it together at the state tournament. This is the one bracket that I will say I am very biased, okay, that I am 100% rooting for a kid that it's Grayson Harris.
Oh, yeah.
This is the one.
Great kid. So
we
could see it, Grayson Harris versus Azriel
I'm
Simpson.
not Inca until the wheels fall off, right? But
yeah.
I love my guys out there.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Super excited for this bracket.
So first flight's Azriel Simpson, who's a sophomore. He didn't compete last year. And here he is, East Regional runner-up. He could have Harris in that. It's not an ideal draw to have Grayson Harris in your quad there.
No.
But at the bottom part, you have Caleb Simpson, but you also have Julian Rodriguez from, I think it's East Lincoln. I'm not entirely sure on that one. But Julian Rodriguez there, that could be a potential quarter. I think Simpson kind of is the maybe favorite to challenge Grayson on this side of the bracket, probably. That one, probably, if you would have asked most people, is the potential semi there. I'm just glad we got separated between Grayson Harris and Colin Staub.
Yes.
Who's on the bottom. So the bottom part of the bracket, you have Yeager from Swansboro, who won over Simpson in the finals in the East, but he doesn't have a great draw. I feel like in his quad, you have Connor Weaver from Ford and Colin Lutz from Cata. Yes, Ford versus Cata. So what does that mean? Team race, right? Yep. That is a big one for the team race, because whoever can score more points here is going to really help out their team. If they win this one and put themselves in position to place, I mean, you win the first round, you're in a great spot to place, right?
Yep.
You have a much better road than if you lose. So that Lutz-Weaver match can be huge. Both of them looked really good, honestly. I was impressed with Weaver at the West Regional. Lutz I was impressed with at the Grapple. So both guys good, but at the bottom,
it's a really fun first round matchup there.
It's a good one. That's probably the one in this bracket I'll be eyes on pretty quickly. And then you have Colin Staub on the bottom.
Absolute monster.
We both picked him to win Holy Angels. He didn't win that one, but he did go ahead and beat Dovak the week after, right? So we were just a week behind on that one. And
we picked it right, just a little late.
Yeah. So he'll have Yuli Vega Del Mora from North Henderson,
possibly in the quarters
in the quarters, or Espinoza from Atkins.
Yuli's a kid from North, though, that is just fully heart.
Yes.
Right? He's had to wrestle Harris all year. Came out and wrestled Harris like a madman.
Yeah.
That first period, Yuli was on a mission. Grayson was able to kind of slow him down, kind of weather that storm, and start to get to his offense, and took over. But the biggest one that I'm watching here is Staub from the side of this bracket.
Yeah,
okay,
I agree.
He is an absolute monster.
Are we on a collision course for a Grayson Harris Staub
I
final?
hope so.
Who knows?
I mean, it's one of those that
Caleb Simpson can mess that up.
There are guys up top that can mess that up. There's guys on the bottom that can mess that up, right? Weaver from Ford.
Yes. Lutz from
Lutz from Cata. Eric Yeager from Swansboro. We don't really know. We haven't seen him a lot this year. We personally haven't.
Got eyes on in person.
But man, Staub is just really good. You know, he just top tier. I do think that we are in a collision course here for Harris Staub. That's my hopeful. You know, I don't want to say like my pick, but kind of hope. You know, hoping a little bit there. But that Weaver Klutz first round matchup is
big all around.
Yes.
Big individual, big team.
Yes, it's big. Yeah, exactly. Big for the team. Just a great and fun matchup there. Weaver looked awesome at 3A West.
Speaking of big for the team, 160 I feel like is
Yep.
big for the team because you have two of each team's top dogs in that. You have Aiden Curry and Zane Burkett, right? And they ended up on opposite side of the bracket. So at the top of this bracket, we have Croatan's Drake Egan. And man, I really think this is a good little quad with Andre Hill of Orange wrestling Elijah Antis from Ashbrook, from Ashbrook. First round. Antis this weekend, we saw him wrestling. He wrestled everyone so tough. Really hard to score on. Doesn't give up any points. I really think he could be a bracket buster and find his way to the semis here. And then on the bottom, man, this is a kid that you've been telling me about for a while. This how you say his last name?
Keith Rodarmer.
Rodarmer. Now he gets kind of a bad draw here, having to have Curry. I mean, there's a lot of bad draws, right? Because it's the state tournament, everybody's good,
right?
But definitely not the draw you would hope for or the quad you want to be in. But he wrestled Burkett really tough. I was really impressed with how well he kept position, the way he was attacking angles. So
yeah, it was one of those that he was attacking a lot, but just couldn't get past Burkett's head hands defense, man.
And as soon as
and those reattacks that he has as well are just, man. I think Burkett might be the best in the state at that, just squared off head hands, just bull defense, and then straight into a quick reattack.
If you take even a little bit of a bad shot and then come back up a little bit too much,
you're done.
He's hitting that double on you.
He's taking it.
You. And so really good there. And so on the bottom half, you have a freshman. I always love it when you see freshmen at these middleweights, upperweights. Brock Sullivan was the regional champ of the Mid-East. And he's got a hard first-round match against Matthew Peterson. Matthew Peterson, real tough. Really tough draw as a 4 seed. I feel like there's a lot of good 4 seeds coming out this year. Maybe kids that didn't have the regional tournament they wanted, but they've been really good all year long.
Yeah,
it's definitely not ideal for a lot of regional.
The beauty
champs.
of a state tournament.
Yeah, I love that.
The state tournament, though, right?
Yes.
That fourth from regional can come out and win a state title.
Yep.
So it's a lot of fun. Anybody's dangerous at state tournament.
Yeah. And then mentioned Zane Burkett. Yep. He's down there. Luke Lambeth, though, from Ashboro, definitely going to be a fun one if those two meet in the quarters. We'll see how this bracket progresses. I think it's really big for the team race just to have them both on the opposite side. See who can score the most bonus, getting through the rounds, taking those advancement points. So it's one to watch kind of for that reason as well.
Right.
Just in its entirety, if you're dialed into the team race. So 170, we got some good first-round matchups here.
A lot of fun at this weight.
At the top, we have Tucker Marshall, who looked really good this weekend.
Yes.
Maybe the best version of Tucker Marshall we've ever seen, right? He's really slick on his feet, especially I feel like for a 170-pounder, he moves his feet extremely well, gets to angles really well.
Definitely.
But that
really tough on top, too.
Yes, really good on top.
Always looking for turns.
Presents a lot of fun. He presents a lot of problems for 170-pounders.
Yes, he does.
And the way he moves his feet is...
If you haven't seen him all year, he's a tough matchup.
Yes.
And that's one thing that's nice about great for him at the state tournament is that a lot of these kids haven't seen him.
Nope.
Right? A lot of these big names in this bracket haven't seen him. They don't know what he does, a lot of stuff like that. I really think he could show, like you said, a lot of problems in this bracket.
Yes. And I think that Noah Staub from Central Davidson quarter could be a really fun one. We've heard good things about Noah Staub there. And then on the bottom part of this bracket, you got Cole Reynolds from West Carteret, who we saw at the Tiger wrestle Gunning from Chapel Hill. Extremely tough. So that one is that guy's the one to watch in the tournament. See if him and Tucker can continue to progress and find each other in the semifinals. The bottom part of the bracket, you have Eastern Guilford's Salif Conan, I think I'm saying that.
Kone, maybe?
Kone. But he's the Midwest champ. But he does have Joseph Plyler, who lost to Tucker in the semis. Plyler has been around for a while. Yeah, he's a senior, but he's
quarter. Yeah, he'll have him in the quarters.
Yeah, or have him in the quarters there. And Plyler's been around a while. He won a regional championship as a sophomore at 170 or 182. Just really tough kid from North Lincoln.
He's got to get his offense going.
Yeah.
If he wants to make a run in this tournament, from what I saw at the state tournament, or I mean at regional, seeing him in person, he's got to get to his offense.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
He's really good on top.
Hammer on
really
top.
Really good on top.
And really tough to keep down. Really tough to turn.
Yes.
We saw that with Tucker.
Yeah.
Tucker's really tough on top, long, lanky, and pretty strong.
Yeah.
But couldn't get a lot of turns against Plyler there.
Yeah.
He's got to get to his offense. That's the biggest thing, especially being on the same side as this man, Aiden McCaffrey.
Who's been the best guy in this late range all year long.
Without a question.
All year long. 47-0. Remember, you told me there was him and River Carroll was a wild state final last year, with Carroll coming out on top of that one. But it also, him and D'Souza from Dixon, that's my favorite quarter of this bracket.
Yes.
I want us. D'Souza's been
that might
really
be my
good.
favorite match of the whole bracket.
Really? Period. Just right there.
Just right there.
Yeah. I mean, it's gonna be a fun one. We've heard really good things about D'Souza from out east. McCaffrey obviously has just been dominating this whole year. So, and speaking of D'Souza's, at 182, there's another one. You got Bryson D'Souza from Dixon. He's in the top quad with Anjay Britt from St. Stephen's. We saw him in a wild one in the regional finals. So I feel like that one's kind of your potential quarters out of that quad. But
Britt has been at the top for a while, has been a monster for a
long
time.
Regional champ a year ago. So two-time regional champ now.
And it's one of those, he's athlete, just monster. Just a lot of fun to watch. That's one to keep your eye on.
And then Brady Ross and Evan Steiger are going to be wrestling first round. Brady Ross, obviously, we think kind of on another level there.
Yeah.
But
that's a tough first round draw.
It's a four-cata match first round.
That's a tough first round draw. Any Ford kid you have in the first round, that's all. That's just one of those that.
And Brady's done the thing, right? Defending state champ. He's placed very high every year. He's been at the state tournament.
I think he rolls there, but it's just not. It's not
your favorite.
It's not. Yeah.
If you're asking for someone to wrestle first day, first match
as a returning state champ,
it's probably not.
I think I think he's gonna. I do think he gets the win there and does it handily. But it's one of those you're like, just wear and tear of the state tournament. That's not one that you want right off the bat to have to deal with.
So, looking at the bottom part of the bracket, Hikiro Cruz from West Carteret was my who that guy gonna be last year, and he didn't really produce the way I thought he was going to. I guess I was just a year early.
He's in a spot 2 this year.
Yeah, he is the regional champ out of the East this year. He has a really tough draw in the quarters, though, if he gets Jonathan O'Shea. Jonathan O'Shea, man, I really liked him a year ago at the regional tournament, or I guess half a year ago because it was in the summer. But at the last year's regional tournament, and then
championship season,
and this year, no different. He looked really good. I really like what Stuart Kramer as a program is doing.
Yeah.
But I think Jonathan O'Shea, really tough one. He could easily find himself in the semis over Cruz too. And then the bottom part of the bracket, you got Jaden Paul versus First Flight's Gage Tomlin. Not your favorite draw if you're Paul, but Paul's been really good this year too. And then Logan Lambeth down there against Alex Amarez from Pisgah. Alex Amarez is one that I've told you all year long. I've been really impressed with him.
Yeah.
But Logan Lambeth had a big year last year in the state tournament. This is a good little quad with these four.
It is. Alvarez, you have been saying a lot about him. I've been watching him all year. Really tough. Really, really tough on top. Is his best position in my opinion. He's another kid that it might just be the story of my state tournament this year for kids and my predictions, but he's got to get to his offense, especially in this quad. Jaden Paul or Logan, definitely guaranteed having Logan Lambeth right off the bat. Big draw right there. That's a tough one.
That's a tough one.
That's a really tough one. But then having Paul right off the bat, or right after that, that's another really tough one. But at the same time, Paul Lambeth would be a lot of fun in the quarters there.
Yeah, it would. It'd be a good one.
So that's a good quad. That's one of my favorite ones in 3A.
So stepping up to 195, at the top, you have Milos Gargol from First Flight.
First Flight to the First Flight for you.
Yeah. Well, hey, man, this one's not even a bias. He was state runner-up last year.
Yeah.
Only loss in the state tournament last year was to Landon 4.
Yeah.
And
no small feat
Milos just
there.
looked really good all year. Only a couple losses, one of them being to Devin Bell.
Has been in the room with, or maybe not in the room, but has been working with
Carlos Martinez, First
Flight
legend,
state champ, First Flight legend, possibly the best wrestler from First Flight.
Wrestler from First Flight, yeah.
So that's got to be paying off a lot. He was always one of those guys, state tournament, lights are bright. Carlos was ready to scrap. So a lot of advice probably getting thrown his way to Milos. I'm excited to see that one. I haven't got to see Milos wrestle in person yet, but super excited for it.
Yeah, and
I've been hearing about him for a long time.
Yeah, long
from
time.
You.
Been talking about you, Milos. So he's probably the favorite coming out of this top quad. And then from Central Davidson, you have Jonathan Hance from the Midwest, probably the favorite to come out of that quad. Except for, man, Jaden Mintz is tough.
Yes.
You and I both this weekend walked away when we were walking to lunch, I think, is when we were both like, man, that Mintz kid.
Yeah.
He's
impressive.
He's got some really tricky things that he does that I think are really good, and so he could blow this bracket up.
I think
he really could. And then on the bottom part of the bracket, and I think this is my theme so far here, has been regional fourths that are not great draws for people. So Michael Locklear is the Mideast first, but he has Peyton Fisher from Kings Mountain. We watched Fisher this weekend. He gave Mace from Ford all he could handle.
Yes.
Right? And then in the third, fourth place match, to be quite honest, the match was kind of weird. It just didn't go his way.
Yeah.
It's one of those matches where I walked away and I wasn't 100% sure the right guy won. Kind of one of those matches, to be honest. But Peyton Fisher, really good athlete, going to play college baseball moving forward. So he could blow this quad entirely apart and find himself in the semis. Now, he does have Joshua Knipe from West Carteret, who has lost 4-0 to Milos in the regional finals. So he could be the favorite. Knipe could, out of this bracket. Out of that quad.
Yeah.
But that's a fun one. I just think Peyton Fisher's a bad draw for Locklear for being a regional champ. I guess, like I said, that's kind of my theme for this 3A. So I feel like there's a lot of 4 seeds that could do really well. And on the bottom, the aforementioned Colby Mace from Ford looks really good this weekend. He's really hard to score on. Has a really good underhook to high crotch series that, he's a Ford kid. He wrestles really hard.
Yeah.
He's not
stays in position.
Not gonna get tired. Stay in position. He's gonna fight you to the end, just the way they are. So he's probably a pretty heavy favorite to come out of that quad.
Right.
And speaking of Ford kids, good night. I don't know if there's anybody from Ford that I've been more impressed with than this kid. I had heard, and Coach Carey in particular kind of told me, like, just watch out for our man Dylan Smith. Like, don't sleep on him. And boy, was Coach Carey correct on this one. And usually he is.
Extremely impressive regional tournament.
Time here.
Extremely impressive regional tournament. In a bracket that is pretty wide open, I think, though, he's on a collision course.
Yeah.
I think that's where this bracket's going. But Dylan Smith is just stout. I mean, just I think I told you off air. He reminds me of Gorilla. Like, he's just a monster. Built. He pushes the pace.
His semifinal match happened so fast. I was uploading Mace's win to our Instagram. Before I could get the camera back up, he had already won the semifinal match.
Had already ended it. Took it just.
He's put together too.
They are a impressive 1-2 punch in that forward lineup, and I think will be big. Those two, I think those two are two of the biggest for Ford's.
I think
title
Smith
run.
in particular, is huge because this weight is so wide open.
I think he could put some bonus points on the board for Ford, and and that would be big for their team race.
So the one person that probably, there's a couple people that could challenge him, but you have the East first, which is Lance Dean from Havelock. So he's the
great program.
East champ. And then on the bottom half of the bracket, the one guy I have circled that I've been talking about all year long, I said something about him at Holy Angels, is Landon Sargent. And you and I have both been impressed by him.
You've been really high on him.
I've been really high on him all year. I had him on my big board last year to start the year. And then it just kind of, I don't think he ended up having the year or ended up even wrestling maybe. I'm not sure what exactly happened in his freshman year. But I've been keeping my eye on him ever since then. And he has looked really good as a sophomore at 220. So really impressive. And seen from Eastern Guilford, 39-1. He could be the potential finals opponent for Dylan Smith if things go the way we think as well. So definitely some tough matches going on.
That scene and Sargent possible semi
could happen.
That's big. That is that looks like a lot of fun to me.
Yeah, I think
really like that.
We could see a lot of points from 220.
Yes.
Right? So at the top is this kid. I remember watching him at the Mike Mock camp. Is this Rory Johnson kid.
Yes.
Man, you look at him and you're like, okay, this kid looks really tall.
Super tall. He's going to be your old school heavyweight, lean on you, not do a lot, anything like that.
And he's the opposite.
And boom, he's hitting a low single. He's running the corner. He's going.
He has you on your back and
he's hitting a spladle. That is what this kid does.
He's 29-0, and I haven't looked into his track wrestling individual matches. I bet you, I wouldn't be surprised if all 29 are by fall.
I don't know how many have gotten out of the first period.
No, he's been
pretty dominant all year. But he has the potential here to break up a collision course.
Yes.
Right? And that is, of course, the rematch from last year. One of the probably the closest state finals from last year. Yeah. And that's Cody Hardy and Jameer Ferrier. Man, but this possible Jameer and Rory semi is a banger.
It is.
That's where I think that's where we're really going to see if Rory is the real deal. Is if he can wrestle with Jameer, because Jameer is the real see that from deal
all year.
We've been kind of asking that question:
Is Rory on that tier?
Yes, is he on that tier? Because we know he's good.
Yeah,
right? He's proved that he's good all year long,
and he passes the eye test.
Yes,
for sure.
He has proven it all year. Just like I said, low single, run the corner. He's on top, and then he's in a split. He splayed on somebody. As a heavyweight.
He looks so
and
good.
the kid's 6'4", 6'5", right? Just does things that does not make sense for a kid that is as big as he is. But like we've said, the question we've had is, can he wrestle with that top tier 3A,
and
285?
We're going to get the answer here.
And we're going to find out.
So Jameer and him probably on collision course, 2 undefeateds on the same side of the bracket. And then on the bottom half, you have CBA Cox, Dallas, and Bailey, who is the regional champ out of the East. And you have, obviously, defending state champion Cody Hardy down there in the bottom. Looming, right?
Yeah.
Looming down there in the bottom. Definitely nice for him to be on the opposite side of Jameer and Rory, which are probably the two top guys.
He
right?
definitely he got the nicer path there,
sure.
I think. But Jameer's so good. Navy commit.
Yep.
Heading up to Naval Academy, going to wrestle for Colat. That is one that he is the top tier. And I think he's proven it time and time again that Jameer is the top tier, but Cody's the man.
Yeah.
Cody, Hardy is still the champ here. He is still the defending and reigning champ at the state tournament. So it's going to be a lot of fun. For me, that's one of my most exciting, or maybe not most exciting, most interesting brackets that I'm anticipating for the state tournament.
I've been curious.
There's a lot of questions.
I've been really curious for a long time about Rory Johnson.
Yeah. So there's a lot of questions that are going to get answered this year in this 3A 285. Hey man,
we said at the beginning of the year, 3A is the most entertaining this year.
Yes,
I didn't say it was the toughest. I didn't say it was the most competitive. I said 3A is the most entertaining this year. And it's going to prove to be that.
I think so.
I think that the team race is going to be
wild.
The
team race, the matchups.
We're going to get state champ on state champ matchups maybe.
Some of these brackets are loaded. I think 3A might be one of the most loaded matchup and bracket-wise in the whole
it's definitely,
state
like I said, it's the most entertaining.
Yes.
To me.
Another one along with 1A that keep your eyes peeled on that team score, right? Stay on track, keep that team score.
Check our
watch
page.
our videos, watch our YouTube. Subscribe to it now so that whenever we get to the state tournament, we're going to be doing round by round videos. So after each round, we're going to be breaking down what happened, some big upsets, big matches, everything big at the state tournament that we feel like you need to know about. We're going to be talking about them in between rounds, following the team score, everything else. We cannot wait. That wraps it up for our 3A and 1A state preview. Check out the next episode. It's going to be 2A, 4A. Another banger right there. So like we said, subscribe. Go check out chainwrestling.co. Get your Carolina Takedown Talk gear now. Thanks for the support. We'll see you guys in Greensboro.